Welcome, healthy friends. Yeah, that time is upon us. The food coma time of the year. Thanksgiving and Christmas. This one's more going to be about Thanksgiving, but it also applies to Christmas. You know that time. Eat too much. You're like, wow, I need a nap. Well, why does that happen? We're going to get into it a little bit. It might not be exactly what you've always been told, but yeah, let's learn some new stuff. Also, I'm going to give you some really good tips on how to enjoy this time of the year and not feel like this, like this guy. By the way, really difficult to find photos for this episode. I don't know why. It just was terrible to find what I wanted to show you. Doesn't really matter. You don't really care because you're like, just bring me the info, man. What are you waiting for? I'm kidding. All right, so as you see here, this is what we've all felt, right? Might not be your face on the table, but sometimes you're just in the lazy boy. You're trying to watch that football game and you're like, I can't stay awake. Why is that? Well, you've been told tryptophan and all kinds of things. Not true. I will say, some of this is my perspective. Not going to back it up with too much science. That's boring. Nobody really cares. I got a little bit in there. But this should be a fun episode, and I'm going to give you really good tips on how to not feel so lethargic. You know, you show up to the party and you're like, I'm in a good mood. Happy to see everybody. You're kissing your family, hugging everybody. The kids are like, oh, Uncle John, and all that kind of stuff. And then about halfway through, you're like, and you're thinking, why am I so groggy? Well, we're going to talk about it. Classic, maybe not for everybody, but let's pick out the classic Thanksgiving dinner. Sometimes we don't always do turkey, but the reason I brought this photo up is because turkey's always been considered that whole tryptophan thing. Well, it's not true, okay? There's so much more going on in this photo than the turkey. You might be asking yourself, well then, what is it? I don't understand. Well, I'm going to show you how, and this photo is so, it is very common to the everyday, ordinary USA type of Thanksgiving dinner. Do you notice one thing that's missing? Now, I don't believe in eating veggies, which I think some of you know by now. Doesn't matter what I eat or what I think about vegetables. They're low carb, and there's none. There's a little bit underneath the turkey, but nobody's eating those because nobody does. What do you see? You see bread, that's carbs. Potatoes, that's carbs. Gravy has some decent amount of carbs depending on how you make it. Stuffing, which is pure carbohydrate. And then you have cranberry sauce, which is sugar added to fruit. So that's a double sugar whammy. And then you have the infamous alcoholic beverages. Oh yeah. Could that be the reason that everybody parties anyway? Unless you're a dry house. There are dry houses. There's religious houses that don't have these. So then you think, well, I don't drink alcohol, so why am I tired? Or I do drink alcohol, but I thought I drank light beer and therefore I should be good. No, we're missing it. There's so many things going on here. I'm only going to get into the major groups because these have the biggest influence on why you're so groggy and in the food coma. All right? I'm going to show you how to tweak your Thanksgiving or holiday dinner and not feel so groggy and food coma. Actually, just feel better. Here you go. Tryptophan. Turkey, down here on the bottom, is 0.38 grams per serving for 4 ounces. Salmon's less, shrimp is less, soybeans pretty high, very close to turkey. Beef tenderloin at 36. Chicken, 39. Yellowfin tuna at 38. So my question for you is, how come when you have Thanksgiving or maybe you do a turkey at Christmas and you go, uh-oh, it's the tryptophan, it's kicking in. You don't say during the normal days of the week, uh-oh, I've had too much chicken. I'm in the chicken tryptophan coma, which is more than turkey. You don't do that. Man, I had that tuna fish sandwich earlier today. Feeling it now, ready to go to sleep. You don't do that. It's, even beef tenderloin's close. You're not like, oh, I had the beef tenderloin, I just need to take a nap. Doesn't happen. That whole tryptophan thing, throw it away. Doesn't mean anything. Here's what actually is happening. Here's your average plate. And I'm serious about this. This is average. I just mentioned. Notice there was no vegetables on that other plate. Okay? Stuffing and sweet potatoes and cranberry sauce, and you have the turkey and you got the gravy. Notice over here to the right, I understand this is one person's makeup of what's in a turkey dinner. I get it. But it's a pretty good general understanding of what the nutritional profile would be of this type of meal. And most people, when they're getting together for Thanksgiving, they want all the fun foods. You know what I mean? I want you to notice, I don't care about all the calories because calories don't mean anything. It has nothing to do with food whatsoever. We'll have an episode in the future on that. Fat doesn't mean anything because fat does not make you tired. You can eat all the fat you want, you don't get tired. Same with saturated, same with cholesterol. Sodium doesn't make you tired. It actually gives you charge and makes you feel good. Notice the carbohydrates in this particular plate at 123 grams. That's significant. And you say, Erik, carbohydrates are more than just sugars. It's also fiber. Yeah. 11. And that's it of the 123 grams of carbohydrates. But there's 78 grams of sugar. That's not good. There's other types of fiber in there that equal the 123. The general idea is now you have 110 grams of protein. This is a very average, regular meal, okay? Your meal may vary, right? I mean, let's be real. Not everybody eats the same things. Maybe it's ham, and you don't do sweet potatoes, and you do regular mashed potatoes, and it doesn't matter. We're getting just generals here to give you the idea of why you have food coma and how to mitigate that through that whole night so you feel good and you're not tired. Because I hate being tired during a party like that. Here's what it should more look like. If you want to reduce how you feel in a food coma, you need to bring your sugar and carbs down. Sugar stimulates insulin, and that'll put you to sleep. The other thing is when you're trying to digest all that fiber, plus the sugar at the same time, of course the protein as well, you have a lot of digestion going on. And your body is like, okay, all of my resources have to go to digesting this in the stomach, and then you have to push it into the small intestines and make its way through. That's just the main meal. We haven't even talked about dessert yet. You could make the argument that there's already dessert in your meal. I mean, you've got sweet potatoes. The name is right there, sweet. You've got sugar in the fruit. Even on this one, you still got a small amount of sweet potatoes and you still have cranberry sauce. That is dessert. But notice, green beans and a salad, much better. Look how you just went from 78 grams of sugar down to 33. much better. Does that make more sense? We're filling our plate with the carbs and sugar and high fiber foods, and that's what's making you tired. It's not tryptophan. Here's a breakdown, quick one for you. So if you want to feel better, you need to eat more meat at this dinner and less of the sides, or be particular with the sides. Get rid of the desserts. I'm going to show you a dessert. And drinks, I'm going to tell you exactly how to drink to have the lowest impact. So yeah, you have some fun, low impact on your health, and you actually have no crash. Okay? All right. Notice the meats, 0 carbs. Okay, let me first state. This graph is the best one I could find. Obviously, there's nuances within this, but generally speaking, this is going to give you an idea. For example, with the meat at 0 grams, lasagna, 30 grams of carbs in a serving of 1 cup. Okay, could be 25, could be 35. Stuffing, half a cup, 20 carbs. You know how much a half a cup is? It's only like this big by like this amount. It's small. You have to have the fiber count in there because there's bread, right? So the carbs are at 20 when it could be like 15 sugars. So we're just going to take this as a general reference. Remember, you don't just have to digest the sugars, deal with the insulin, but you also have to deal with the fiber as well. And then, of course, you have to digest proteins and fats. The problem is the carbs. That is the issue. Mashed potatoes. Well, a cup is at 30 grams, so it's slightly less than a half cup of stuffing. Sweet potato, 1 cup, or 1 sweet potato, at 30 grams. Candied yams, half cup at 45. Don't do the candied stuff. Quit adding sugar to your sweet potatoes, okay? Sweet potato casserole, a 1/3 cup at 30. Now watch. Here's where your sides make more sense. Green beans at 4 for a half a cup. But then look, you went to green bean casserole for a half cup and you added 5 more grams of carbs. Corn, not good. Sauerkraut, pretty low. Difference with sauerkraut is that's a whole cup for 6 grams. And if you make it yourself, you get probiotics, which help you digest food. Obviously, we go to the carrots and the cranberry sauce. Look at a 1/4 cup at 25 grams. Here's your gravy, a 1/4 cup of gravy at 4 grams. You know what that 4 grams comes from? It's not the drippings. The drippings are collagen and fat and water. The gravy comes from corn starch, or maybe you added wheat flour to make the gravy. There's where your carbs come from. 1 biscuit at 25. Cornbread, 28. Okay, I showed you this to explain how this works right here. All right, so when you look at this plate and then you add up what I just showed you, that's why you come up to 123. All of those put together. That's a lot when you could make better choices. Desserts. Oh boy. So not only did you have all of this on the left side, which made up your normal food I just showed you at 123 carbs, this does not include your dessert. Yeah. Now you add. I'm going to pick one of the most common we do on Thanksgiving. Pumpkin pie. So 1/8 of a slice. What is 1/8 of a slice? That thing's like this wide. 35 grams of carbs. There will be some fiber in there, but I'm telling you it's mostly sugar. You see? If we pick one of the least ones, you just had a sugar cookie. You had 2 little sugar cookies, 22 grams of carbs. Very little fiber in that. That's mostly all sugar. Not good. You see where this is going? Okay. You can see how you've had 123 with your meal, Then later you decide to have dessert and you've added another, let's round it at 50 grams. So now you're approaching 200. Meantime, you may have had some beverages. Eggnog at 30 for a half a cup. Who drinks a half a cup of eggnog? I've never done that every time I've ever had eggnog, it's been like at least 2 cups. Sweet or spiced apple cider, 1 cup, 30 grams. That's a small little tiny mug. Nobody drinks that much. They always drink more. And then we get into wine and beer and spirits. I'm going to address this because this right here, these numbers are false. I'm going to show you what real numbers are. Yeah, when you add the food to the dessert plus your drinks, you're in the hundreds of grams of carbs and sugar. My point of showing you this carb chart is where isn't the carbs. Oh, that would be in the turkey, ham, beef, chicken, and duck. So what do you think your plate should mostly be? That would be right, in the meat category, the animal food category. So then you say, well, I can eat that, all right. So I'll do the greens, I'll have a salad, maybe some green beans, I'll have some, those type of foods that are low carb, asparagus, whatever. Brussels sprouts, name it. Great, I'm all for that. You lowered your carbs, cool. Then you're like, well, I want a dessert. Notice whipped cream. This is natural whipped cream now. We're not talking some sweetened version. 2 tablespoons is 2 grams of carbs. So that's lactose. Okay? Not that bad. 2 tablespoons of whipped cream is quite puffy. It's big. Add some berries, any of the berries you want. Now you have a low carb, low sugar, decently healthy dessert. By the way, when you're feeling like heavy, that's a light dessert. You're like, yeah, this is not bad at all. Add a little stevia when you make the whipped cream. Now you sweetened it, feeling like you got a more sweeter type of dessert without adding all the sugar. You see where we're going with this? Pretty cool. I'm a big fan of whipped cream, especially if you're lucky, blessed to be in a state where you can get raw dairy. Oh man, I can't wait until I try for the first time whipped cream from raw cream. First of all, for those of us who are lactose intolerant, can't do processed dairy products. So getting raw dairy, we're able to eat that kind of stuff. I can't do that. Can't wait to do that. Anyway, does that make more sense to see where your carbohydrates are coming from equals your food coma? So eat less carbs, you're not in food coma. Erik, are you saying that I can't have any carbs at all? That I should just not enjoy Thanksgiving dinner? Not what I'm saying. Have small amounts. Think about it like this. You decide, I'm going to have the sweet potato casserole with mini marshmallows, right? Do you have to have a large portion? Isn't just 2 or 3 bites enough? I mean, really, do you need 14 different things on your plate that all add up to 350 carbs? Can we just pick the ones that you love the most, small portions? That way, you are more selective. Let's keep the carbs under 150. You're doing better. If you can keep them under 75, you're not going to have food coma at all. And remember, you're not just doing food, you're doing drinks too. And let's be real, most people aren't just doing water the whole time, right? And if you drink, soda pop or whatever you say from wherever you live, pop, soda, fizzy drink, whatever, you're adding way more sugar. That's what we see with the children, right? Children are bouncing off the walls. You wonder why. Pick the sides that you like, small portions, more greens, more meat. And by the way, if your meat isn't good enough to eat a lot, like a larger portion, spend more money on the meat and less on everything else. I could tear this up. This is like the epitome of a nutritionist's breakdown of what to do and what not to do. And I could literally do countless episodes I could do an episode on every single one of these these sides, desserts, and drinks. Literally. I may have actually some episodes on individual of these. Check those out. All right. Crush that one enough to move on. So let me first say, so you saw the carb content. We brought all that together, right? Well, if this is 78 grams of sugar just in your normal Thanksgiving meal, that equates to, from all these carbs, 78. Well, 78 sitting just under this half a cup of sugar. Okay, so if you showed up at Thanksgiving dinner and you had just dinner with water, you would have, on average, half a cup of sugar. Let me ask you a question. I've asked this in sugar episodes originally in this podcast. Have you ever ate straight table sugar? I mean, just sit down with a half a cup of straight sugar and just eat it. No, nobody does that. Why? Because it's weird. Tastes weird. You can't chew it. It's cloying. You just don't do it. But you mix it in everything, or you have the equivalent of it. Next thing you know, you just downed 100 grams of sugar. And you're like, whoa. And then the insulin spike hits. And then we have the repercussions. Now, remember I said that's the meal, somewhere around here, with the average Thanksgiving meal. That's if you have those portions he's talking about. What if you had bigger portions? It's even worse. Now you add your beverages. We haven't even got dessert yet. You add your beverages, you're sitting in 150 world because you added beer, wine, cocktails, Pepsi, Coke, Mountain Dew, whatever. Now you're here. 3/4 of a cup of sugar. You ever seen 3/4 of a cup of sugar? That's insane. It gets better. Here's what let's do 3/4 to start off with. This is basically where you're at by the time you eat dinner. You've had a couple drinks. Now you had your food. Your equivalent is 3/4 cups of sugar. That's 12 tablespoons. 12 tablespoons. You know that smaller spoon you have in your drawer and you have the larger spoon? Take that larger spoon, take a more leveled off, not a heaping, take a more leveled off, and I want you to eat 12 of those in a row. Matter of fact, let's give you 12 to 15 minutes because that's pretty much all it takes for people to eat dinner. That's how much sugar you just ate at your meal with your beverages previous. That's a lot of sugar, and you wonder why you're tired. Now, when you add things like dessert, you can go way past 1 cup, right? We can get things like, a can of Coke is 40 grams. Add another 40. Well, you had 2 of those. Or a beer that's got 15 to 20 grams per beer, and you've had 2 or 3 before dinner. This starts to add up. This is why you're in food coma. It's not the turkey. I'm telling you, it's not the turkey. I also can say this as a carnivore. I eat lots of tryptophan. Everything. I eat it all. Beef and turkey and a lot of chicken and eggs and all kinds of stuff. I don't get a tryptophan. Ask any carnivore if they get tired while being a carnivore. They're like, nope, that's gone. Never get that at all. I can eat all I want and I'm ready to go. Because the tryptophan is not the problem. It's the carbs. It's the difficulty digesting your food. I'm going to make this a 2-part episode. I hope it doesn't go into 3. This beginning, I'm hoping to set this up for you to see if you really want to be effective next week, understand how to eat right, enjoy your time. I'm going to give you some really good tips coming up Monday morning. So it'll give you plenty of time before Thanksgiving to, get in order what you're going to do to take care of yourself for the Thanksgiving so you have a really enjoyable time without being in food coma. By the way, you'll also not gain so much weight. There's that. But this is the first beginning showing you it's the carbs, it's the sugar, it's not the tryptophan. Okay? Trust me, I'm going to give you some great advice and some really cool insights into how to eat at any party, maybe even outside of a party, just on a Friday night or Saturday night. Really good stuff coming up. I can't wait to that's why I'm just harping on this, because this is so fun. I love talking about this kind of thing. These are the things that excite me, that I want to help you guys learn. Tips and tricks that, change everything. Appreciate you listening. Please tune in on Monday. It will be worth your while for next week, which is Thanksgiving, and even for Christmas. You'll be like, wow, I went through those, felt great, had a good time, ate some stuff. I had some fun with all of that, and I didn't regret it. All right, take care of yourselves. Thanks for listening.